What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Destroy coming at you with another NHL DFS video for the 18th of January. And we have an interesting 8-game slate here. There's another 3 games, but those are on the early slate. I'm not going to go over that, but we'll go over the late slate, or the main slate, that is. So one of the things that you notice right off the bat is there's one team from this that is on a back-to-back, and that is Detroit. And Detroit is playing Florida. So one of the things that I immediately see from Florida is their first line looks really, really good. They're expensive though, which is where I have a little bit of problems of getting to full Detroit. You try to get the full line, and you're paying about $15,000 for that first line, which is good because they're gonna get 1 to 2 goals maybe tonight, depending if everything goes the way it should. You can never fully predict stuff, but that's my prediction of where they're going to be with Detroit. Detroit, like I said, terrible on their second of the back-to-back days. Not to mention they're just terrible as is. Their penalty kill is terrible. Florida's is really good. Florida's been playing really decent. Jimmy Howard actually played really good last night, but I don't think it's going to happen again. So yeah, if you can't get to the first line of Florida, some of the players you actually want to get to is Keith Yandel, really cheap here, only 4 points in the last 10 games. But one thing you notice is he's had 27 shots his last 10 games. 2 games versus Detroit, he's had 2 assists, 4 shots in those games, no block shots. So averages 8 points, which isn't spectacular, but it's worth noting. You look at their goalie too. I'm really high on taking any Florida goalie, no matter what. It's only $200 price between Bobrovsky and Belt. I'm just gonna say it's got a long last name. But yeah, either one I'm fine with playing against Detroit. Like I said, they're really bad on the back-to-back. But yeah, those are two of my favorite goalies, even though they're on the same team. So yeah, any of these wingers here, probably from the first to third line, is honestly a really good play, in my opinion. I'd probably rather go Vincent here. Granted, he's on the second line. He's been playing really good lately. 30 shots on the last 10 games, which is 3 shots a game, 8 points, and has gotten 6 block shots. So yeah, he's been playing really good lately. So I could see him getting points there. The next team I want to target is Buffalo. And since if I'm not going high on Florida, the next team I want to target is Buffalo players. Jack Eichel is just playing really good. Top player on that team, getting over 3 shots a game, almost 1 block shot per game, and averaging 1.5 points a game. The earlier game they played against Nashville this year, he had 2 points, 3 shots, 2 block shots, 24 fantasy points against them. That's nothing to ever go off of his past performance unless they have a career history of playing good against a certain team, but teams change every year, so it's not something to go huge on, but it does make you feel a little better about the pick. Some other players that I also like in Buffalo is Reinhart to go with Eichel, especially being on the power play. Makes you feel really good about it. Kyle Okposo here, I'm not really huge on at all. Last 10 games, he's only gotten 4 points. Did have 6 shots on goal and 2 block shots, which is 14.6 points. And I couldn't find the price of him for the last game, but you look at his last 2 games, he's gotten over 10 fantasy points a game, had over 10 fantasy points against Nashville last time. He's only 2,500. He can save you some money. He used to be a really good scorer, just falling off a little, but definitely an option there. And if you're going to get a defender from Buffalo, I recommend Dallin here, 27 points. Averages almost a block shot per game, 63 shots this season, which isn't too promising, but he does play on the power play line. Last game, he had an assist in one block shot, only 6.3, but he's really cheap and he saves you some money. Another line or lines that you want to go after is Toronto against Chicago. Chicago's been playing really good defense lately. They're 7-3 their last 10 games, but you have to consider they allow the most shots in the league, and they're playing a team that has the most goals in the league. So, although it's very expensive, if you're going to go somebody and pay up extraordinary for somebody that's going to get shots, probably going to get some type of points. I mean, you look at what he did against Chicago the last time. He had 4 assists, 10 shots on goal, and 2 block shots. So we almost had the block shot bonus at the 43 fantasy points. I'm not saying he's going to do it again, but he has a possibility. John Tavares is right behind him there. Been playing really good, 12 points in the last 10 games, averaging 3.8 shots per game. Same thing, had a goal and an assist against the Blackhawks, 3 shots. So, sorry about that. But yeah, there's a lot of options at wings for Toronto. I think Nylander is my favorite out of all of them. 14 points in the last 10 games, and then 35 shots in those 10 games. And then he also had 2 goals, 4 shots against the Blackhawks in their last game. Like I said, you still never really want to go off of how someone's played unless they've had a good sample size. So once you hit at least the 2 or 3 game mark, then you can actually say, yeah, I want to play this player because they played good against him this season. Hyman's not a bad option either. I really like him against Chicago here. Gets power play time, which is nice. So those are options. And then you could look at their defense, and they have a couple good options here at defense. Obviously, Tyson Barrie is probably the one that you want to target most. 8 points in the last 10 games, 30 shots, so he's averaging 3 shots a game, and then 14 block shots, so over basically one and a half per game. Didn't do much of anything, just 4 shots against the Blackhawks last time, but he has potential there, especially if Toronto gets some of those goals. And Sedan is probably the next guy I want to target. Just getting to the team. 8 games played this season. That's what it was. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought there. So he's played 2 games since he came back from the injury. Didn't do anything against Calgary the other night. But his first game back, he did have 2 assists, 2 shots on net. So 3,500, really cheap option there as well. Next line that we're going to talk about is the Dallas forwards. So Tyler Seguin is probably the only center that I would play here. Possibly Pavelski, but Seguin would be the only one I'm confident with. The only reason that I like Dallas against Minnesota here is Dallas's power play has been ridiculous lately. So anybody from that first and second, or the power play units, you would probably want to target here. Minnesota, even their defense, their goalies have been slacking lately. The last 10 games, they've fallen off compared to the rest of the season. So Tyler Seguin would be the only center that I would take here. Radulov, I was looking at him. He looks good. You look at his stats for the 2 games he's played Minnesota, and that's what brings you. He averages 30.9 points in the 2 games that he's faced. Minnesota, he's got 3 goals, 4 total points. He's got 14 shots in 2 games, which is 7 a game. So he's a viable option, but I really like Jamie Benn here just a little bit more for this. Jamie Benn's only gotten 6 points in the last 10 games. Only gotten 2 assists for those 2 games they played and 2 shots, 1 block shot. But I really like him here in this one. I think this is going to be his game that he gets against Minnesota. And then Heinz here is right behind him. 8 points in the last 10 games. He got a goal against Minnesota in the last game. And he's been shooting a lot more than he recently has. You look at his last 5 games, or 6 games, got at least 2 shots in every game, and been getting a decent amount of points in those games too, but he's looking like a hit or miss here, so I'd probably go one of the first 2 options. And then you could go one of the 2 top defenders here of Klingberg and Lindell. I personally like Lindell more. I played him the other night. Had an assist, 2 shots, 4 block shots. So in those 2 games against him, another option there against the terrible Minnesota penalty kill, which we've talked about. And then the last team that I do want to talk about is going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets playing the New Jersey Devils, one of the worst teams in the league. And basically, it started the defense. There's 3 options here that I really like. Zach Werenski. Always get his name wrong. Probably still pronounce it wrong. Played really good against New Jersey the last time they played him. Had a goal, 6 shots, 1 block shot, 23 fantasy points. You look at his numbers lately. Last 3 games haven't been good, but before then he's had 3 games where he got plus 20 points here and there in a very favorable matchup at home. Seth Jones is obviously one of the better plays here. Last game against him, 2 assists, 2 shots, 3 block shots. You look at his numbers lately, and they've been up and down too. He's just been more consistent with it, and he's cheaper too, by 900. And then David Savard, last 10 games only 4 points, but something I do see and I like here is he has 28 block shots in his last 10 games. Did not play against New Jersey. You look at his numbers, and it's nothing to be excited for, but he is cheap, and he is somebody that gets a lot of block shots and can get you the block shot bonus. So that is also what I like with their defense. If you can go to Atkinson, he's one of their mid-tier players. He gets a lot of their shots. I'm not too high on him. 9 points in the last 10 games, which is phenomenal. 117 shots total this year. But yet he's been a pretty hit or miss player lately too. But the 2 players that I do like is the 2 centers, Du Bois, 8 points, 16 shots, 12 block shots, had an assist, 2 shots on goal, 9.3 points against New Jersey last time. Boone Jenner, I wasn't. It's still hard for me to get really liking of him. The only thing I like is he's taken 24 shots in the last 10 games, and he did have 2 assists and 3 shots on goal against New Jersey in the first game, and he's on the power play units. So that's it for my picks for today, guys. There's still a lot of options out there, but those are the options that I'm really liking right off the bat. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.